Welcome to the deep dive. You know those moments, right? The phone rings and it's like exactly the person you were just thinking about.
Or you hear some really obscure word, and
Yeah.
suddenly it's everywhere.
Exactly. These little flashes of weird alignment that make you pause and, well, wonder if there's some kind of hidden pattern to things.
Hmm.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, those uncanny moments we call coincidences. Are they just random noise, pure chance?
Or maybe something deeper. A hint about how reality works or how we perceive it.
That's the big question. We've got a whole stack of incredible sources here. Psychological studies, stats, history, some truly mind-bending stories.
Yeah, some really wild ones.
Our mission is basically to unpack all this, not just list examples, but really dig into what they tell us about, our minds, our need for stories.
And maybe those subtle connections life throws at us.
We're talking identical twins living freakishly similar lives, those famous presidential parallels.
Lincoln and Kennedy, yeah.
And even a novel that seemed to, predict the Titanic disaster years before it happened, it's going to be a fascinating look at the surprising side of life.
Definitely.
Now, before we jump right in, just a quick reminder. For more great info like this, you can always visit Mind Expansion Daily.
Good point.
And hey, if you like what we're doing here, please do hit like and subscribe to Mind Expansion Daily. It really helps us out.
It does.
And if you really like it and want to support the show, you can buy us a coffee. The link's right there in the description.
We appreciate that.
We also genuinely want to hear from you. Agree with us? Disagree? Challenge our take in the comments. And definitely tell us where you're listening from. We love seeing how far these conversations reach.
Okay, let's do it.
So, coincidences. What makes them grab us?
Good question. What is it?
Well, we usually define them as, events that seem totally unrelated but somehow line up in a way that feels meaningful, surprising.
And our brains just latch on to that,
Yeah.
right? The meaningful part. Exactly.
Yeah.
The psychologists talk about this all the time. We're fundamentally pattern-seeking creatures. It's baked into our biology.
Helped us survive, presumably. Spotting predators, finding food.
Precisely. But that same mechanism can make us, let's say, overinterpret things, see patterns even when it's just noise, random chance playing out.
So we're kind of primed to find connections, whether they're statistically real or not. Our brains want the story.
That's a great way to put it. This creates a real tension, doesn't it, between how a coincidence feels to us
Yeah, like it must mean something.
and the cold, hard statistical reality. I mean, think about it. 8 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
Millions of interactions every single day.
The chances of something weird lining up are actually pretty high, aren't they?
Very high. Take the birthday paradox. You only need 23 people in a room to get a 50% chance that two share a birthday.
Wow, only 23. That feels low.
It does. But mathematically, it's solid. It just shows how probability works on a large scale. Things that seem unlikely for you become almost certain to happen to someone.
Right. And skeptics, like the mathematician John Allen Paulos, they lean heavily on this, don't they? Saying we mostly remember the hits and forget the misses. Confirmation bias.
That's the argument. And it's a strong one, statistically speaking.
Yet, our sources mention that something like 70% of people report having these meaningful coincidences each year. So even if it's statistics, it feels real to most of us.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And while probability explains a lot, sometimes the coincidences just keep piling up, one after another, in really specific ways.
That's when it gets harder to just brush off as pure chance, isn't it?
Exactly. That's when they really challenge our rational side and spark that deeper sense of wonder, or maybe even unease.
Okay, so let's get into some of those stories that push the boundaries. The Jim twins, this one is just unbelievable.
A classic case. Jim Lewis and Jim Springer.
Identical twins, separated right after birth in 1940. They don't meet again until they're 39 years old in 1979.
And the researchers at the University of Minnesota who studied them, well, they found some staggering stuff.
Staggering is the word. Okay, get this. Both adopted families independently named their boys Jim.
Right off the bat, yeah.
Both Jims married a woman named Linda.
Oh.
Both divorced their Lindas and then remarried women named Betty.
It keeps going.
Both named their first son James Allen, slightly different spelling for Allen, but still, James Allen.
Incredible.
Both smoked Salem cigarettes.
Yeah.
Both drove Chevrolets. Both ended up working as security guards.
And the little things, too, right? Hobbies, vacations.
Yeah. Both liked woodworking. Both took family vacations to the same specific beach in Florida. It's just layer upon layer.
The sheer density of it. Statisticians tried to calculate the odds of just a few of these overlaps happening by chance. We're talking like 1 in trillions.
But
Astronomical.
what's the explanation? Genetics. Similar upbringing, even though they were apart.
Well, skeptics point to those things. Genetics clearly plays a role in preferences, maybe even life choices to some extent. And maybe their adoptive environments, while separate, were similar enough socioeconomically.
But all those specific names, Linda, Betty, James Allen, the same beach.
That's where it gets really hard to explain it away easily.
Very
You know, a social media post about them back in 2025 got something like 20,000 likes. People were talking destiny, shared consciousness, all sorts of things.
It forces you to ask, doesn't it? How much is predetermined? How much is just incredibly improbable luck?
It definitely stretches our understanding of chance.
Okay, moving from the personal to the historical, those presidential parallels. Lincoln and Kennedy. This stuff has been circulating for decades.
Another classic set of coincidences, yeah. The echoes are uncanny.
Let's run through some of them. Lincoln elected in 1860, Kennedy in 1960, exactly 100 years apart.
Okay.
Both assassinated on a Friday.
Yep.
Both shot in the head.
Mhm.
Both had their wives with them when it happened.
Right.
Both were succeeded by their vice presidents, who were both named Johnson, Andrew Johnson, Lyndon Johnson.
Both Johnsons were Southern Democrats.
And get this. Lincoln's assassin, John Wilkes Booth, born 1839. Kennedy's alleged assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, born 1939, again, 100 years apart.
It doesn't stop there either. The successors, the Johnsons, were also born 100 years apart. Andrew in 1808, Lyndon in 1908.
It's almost too neat, isn't it? Like someone scripted it. No wonder that list went viral again recently, claiming history repeats itself.
Absolutely. It feeds right into that pattern-seeking part of our brain.
Yeah.
But again, the statisticians step in.
The cherry-picking argument.
Exactly. They say, look at all the differences you're ignoring. Lincoln shot in a theater, Kennedy in a convertible. Booth was caught relatively quickly. Oswald shot dead himself. Their policies, their backgrounds, vastly different in many ways.
That's fair. You can always find differences if you look.
But still.
But still. Our sources say there are over 20 documented parallels like the ones we listed. Even if some are weaker than others, the sheer number makes it a cultural phenomenon. It keeps raising questions about fate, historical cycles. It's hard to just dismiss it all as noise.
Agreed. It lingers in the collective consciousness for a reason.
Okay, let's shift again. This next one involves foresight, or something that looks eerily like it. The Titanic.
And the novel Futility.
Right. Morgan Robertson's novel, Futility, or The Wreck of the Titan, published in 1898. That's 14 years before the Titanic sank in 1912.
And the similarities are, well, chilling.
Chilling is right. Robertson's fictional ship, the Titan, described as the largest ship afloat, practically unsinkable.
Just like the Titanic's reputation.
And crucially, both ships carried far too few lifeboats for the number of passengers, a key factor in the real tragedy. Both ships hit an iceberg.
In the North Atlantic,
In April,
on their maiden voyage.
sinking with huge loss of life. The fictional Titan was 800 feet long. Titanic was 882 feet, pretty close. Titan carried 3,000 people, Titanic about 2,200. Same ballpark.
And even the detail of how they sank hitting the iceberg on the starboard side.
It's uncanny. One source mentioned a 90% overlap in key details. How do you even explain that?
Well, the skeptical take is that Robertson was knowledgeable about ships. He knew the trend was towards bigger, faster liners. He knew icebergs were a danger in those shipping lanes in April. So he constructed a plausible disaster scenario based on current technology and risks.
So an educated guess, basically. A very, very good one.
Perhaps. But the sheer number of specific matches, the name Titan, the unsinkable hubris, the lifeboats, the cause, the location, the time of year, it feels like more than just extrapolation.
Yeah, no wonder that social media post calling it a prophecy got so much attention. It really makes you wonder, was it just an incredibly accurate guess or was something else going on? Precognition, tapping into something.
It remains one of the most baffling literary coincidences out there.
These big historical examples are amazing, but, coincidences aren't just for presidents or disasters. They happen to us all the time, right?
Absolutely. Our sources stress that. That figure again, 80% of people feel they experience meaningful coincidences every year.
Like thinking of your friend just before they text you, or running into someone you haven't seen in ages in a totally random place.
Exactly. Small scale, but they can feel just as significant personally. There was an anecdote in our material about an author.
Oh yeah, the lost book.
That's the one. Lost a specific book, mentioned it to a friend, and then found it later that same day in a random cafe. calculated the odds at something like 1 in 10,000.
Those personal ones can feel really powerful.
And this is where some psychological phenomena come into play, like the Bader-Meinhof phenomena.
Right, the frequency illusion, you learn a new word or buy a certain type of car.
And suddenly you see it everywhere. It's not that it's actually more common. Your brain is just now primed to notice it. Your attention filter has changed.
So that could explain some everyday coincidences. We just start noticing things that were always there.
It definitely plays a role. It's part of how our pattern-seeking brain works. You see it reflected online too, right? Hashtag life coincidences popping up all over social media. People love sharing these little moments.
So science does have explanations. Probability, psychology.
Oh, for sure. Probability theory is key. The law of large numbers is fundamental here.
Explain that simply.
Basically, with a large enough sample size, like, say, the entire population of Earth over a few years, events that seem incredibly rare for one person become almost guaranteed to happen to someone, somewhere, sometime.
Like the birthday paradox again, but scaled up massively.
Exactly. The odds of you winning the lottery might be tiny, but the odds of someone winning are obviously much higher. Same principle applies to all sorts of seemingly improbable events lining up.
And our brains kind of amplify the significance when it happens to us.
That's where psychology comes back in.
Mhm.
Apophenia, that tendency to see patterns in random data, faces in the clouds, that sort of thing.
Our minds want order, want connection.
And culture reinforces this. That study, finding 60% of people attribute coincidences to fate rather than chance, that shows how deep these beliefs run. We're often looking for meaning beyond just the statistical noise.
What about things like quantum physics? Does that play into it at all? Entanglement and stuff?
People definitely bring it up. The idea of non-local connections, particles influencing each other instantly over distance.
Yeah.
It sounds intriguing, right? Like maybe the universe is connected in ways we don't understand.
Yeah, it adds a layer of mystery.
It does. But it's important to be clear. There's currently no direct scientific evidence linking quantum entanglement to the kinds of coincidences we experience in everyday life or history. It's mostly speculative, though fascinating speculation. The main scientific explanations remain probability and psychology.
Okay, but then you have thinkers like Carl Jung. He didn't just dismiss these things, did he? He had his concept of synchronicity.
Right, and that's a really important idea when we talk about the meaning of coincidences. Jung defined synchronicity as meaningful coincidences that seem to defy simple probability.
Not cause and effect, but meaningful alignment.
Exactly, and a causal connecting principle, he called it, where an external event meaningfully mirrors an internal state, like thinking of someone intensely, and then they call. For Jung, the key wasn't proving it statistically, but acknowledging its psychological reality and impact.
And that idea still resonates.
Very much so. Our sources noted that around 40% of modern psychologists recognize the psychological significance of synchronistic experiences for people, even if they don't endorse a mystical explanation. It's about understanding why these moments feel so profound to us.
So it taps into something deep in our psyche. People are clearly fascinated that social media thread speculating about a universal script got tons of views.
It did. But again, we always have that counterpoint, statistical inevitability. The debate continues.
So whether they're cosmic winks or just math playing out, coincidences clearly shape us, right? They affect culture, beliefs.
Absolutely. They inspire art and literature. Think of futility again, how his fame exploded after the Titanic. The fuel theories, sometimes conspiracy theories, like that 20% of Americans seeing the Lincoln-Kennedy parallels as proof of a plan.
And they also drive science, pushing us to understand probability and how our own minds work better.
And just socially, think about it. Sharing a story about a weird coincidence. It connects us, doesn't it? It's a shared experience of wonder or surprise. Millions of #coincidence posts show that power.
It reminds us life isn't always predictable.
Exactly. Whether you land on the side of chance or fate, they inject a sense of mystery and wonder into life.
So wrapping this all up, we've looked at the Jim twins, almost impossibly similar lives. Makes you question nature versus nurture right there.
Deeply.
We've revisited Lincoln and Kennedy, those historical echoes that feel almost too patterned to be random.
Challenging our sense of linear time, perhaps.
And the Titanic and futility,
Yeah.
blurring the line between fiction, foresight, and, well, sheer unbelievable chance.
A truly baffling case.
So the science points heavily towards probability, the law of large numbers, and our own pattern-hungry brains.
That's the rational explanation, and it covers a lot of ground.
But that feeling, that subjective jolt when a coincidence hits you, that's hard to ignore.
Impossible to ignore. And perhaps we don't need to fully resolve it. Whether it's chance or synchronicity, these moments wake us up, make us look at the world a bit differently, maybe see connections we missed before.
They remind us that life is still pretty amazing and unpredictable.
Wonderfully so.
Which leads us perfectly to our final thought, borrowed from one of our sources. What's the wildest, most profound coincidence you've ever experienced?
Turning it back to the listener. Good one.
We really want to hear your stories. Share them in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. What uncanny moments have stuck with you?
Yeah, let us know.
And tell us, did you agree with our take today? Disagree? Let us know that too. And definitely tell us where you're tuning in from. We're aiming for worldwide reach here.
Awesome.
And one last time, if you enjoyed this deep dive, please consider clicking that link in the description to buy us a coffee. It helps us keep digging into fascinating topics like this one.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on the deep dive.